welcome back to another FPL game week review and preview. We're almost at 100 subs, so if you're feeling generous or it's a pity sub, you know what to do. On the left, you can see our wildcarded team. It scored a grand total of 54 points this week, which gives us a game week rank of 3.1 million. We scored a total of 54 points, and it could have been a lot better, in my opinion. We lost some clean sheet, well, one clean sheet for Nico Williams after they lost to West Ham. Anderson finished on 11 DEFCON points again for the third week in a row, which is just genuine torture. I saw the score it was 0-0 at about the 70th minute, went to sleep, woke up 3-0 to West Ham, so that was absolutely terrible. I thought surely they would hold on, clearly and obviously they definitely didn't. Pedro Porro did get some DEFCON points after the game was finished against Bournemouth, and Spurs were back to their horrible ways. We were absolutely shocking. Gakpo, I guess you can say, was okay. Probably had the hardest fixture out of everyone here, scoring a 3. That was, I guess, ballpark, what I expected from him. Chris Wood was extremely underwhelming. Forest were pretty bad against West Ham, if I'm honest. I did have high expectations for the trio of Forest players in the side, but again, what can you do? Got subbed around the 70th minute and locked in a 2-pointer, so that was terrible. Cunha was injured due to a hamstring injury, which... Oh, it's unfortunate, but there's not much you can do regarding injuries. I know Bruno, obviously the late pen, that was fantastic for owners. I couldn't get to Bruno. I did think of toying with the bald man, Mr. Embuemo, but I went Cunha, as you can see. Haaland captain, which was lovely. Pedro did fantastic against Fulham. Sanchez and Mark Cucurella clean sheets as well, although it later came out that the Fulham goal should have stood. So I guess in that aspect, extremely lucky to hold on to those clean sheets. Besides that, we had 21 points on the bench, which would have been a fantastic bench boost, but obviously you can't play that whilst you're already playing another chip. And... I think that pretty much sums it up. Spurs boys, thank goodness they've got decent upcoming fixtures, because they just proved to me again, I guess, why I've doubted them for so long. As you can see on the right, this is how we're going to line up post-international break, so moving into game week 4. Sanchez and Cucurella stay on. They have Brentford away, same with João Pedro. Munoz comes off the bench and on. Palace have Sunderland at home. Pedro Porro and Virgil are on field. They have West Ham and Burnley away. Rangers actually comes from the bench onto the field. Kudos is still on the field, same with Gakpo, Haaland and Pedro. So basically, in a quick summary, I'm just benching all of my Forest assets against Arsenal because, one, I'd be extremely surprised if Arsenal don't score, and also I would be surprised if Forest do score and it's Anderson and Wood having involvement. Although I would not be surprised if Anderson finally hits the DEFCON points against Arsenal. So this is how I'm going to line up for game week 4. I know Cunha's injured, but as I said on the last video, I had booked him in for a transfer to Ismail Assar. Now, he got a yellow card for simulating, although it did look like he was actually in some agony with a hamstring injury. late in the game against West Ham. So we'll see how that eventuates over the international break. See if he actually does play with Senegal or he doesn't make the trip over for their games. But I can guarantee that Cunha is most definitely going to be transferred out. If it's not Ismail Assar, I'm actually considering Jack Grealish in this format. I'm not entirely certain as to where I'll go yet, but it will hopefully, and if everything goes to plan and Ismail Assar is all good to play against Sunderland at home in game week 4, he will be my transfer in. At this stage, captaincy is bust on Erling Haaland, although I don't mind a Gakpo shout or a Munoz shout. I'm a little bit torn there. Thankfully, Haaland scored against Brighton the prior game week, and we did get a captaincy return. That was wonderful. But apart from that, I think I will be on either Haaland or Gakpo. I'm not entirely certain at this point in time. One thing I will say, though, is the South American boys that are currently in this side at the moment, being Daniel Munoz and João Pedro, they have a notorious reputation, especially the Brazilian boys, of not starting the game week post international break. They've got a lot of flying to do. They've got a lot of territory to cover. And I do have my doubts regarding João Pedro starting. So I think it would be safe to say that someone who is the first sub, Elliot Anderson, is probably, he may be involved if Pedro doesn't see any game time against Brentford. I think Munoz definitely does play, but I do have my eyes on João Pedro potentially just being left on the bench against Brentford. So that first sub position at this stage is probably going to be Elliot Anderson. I don't see Arsenal conceding, and I don't see Forest keeping a clean sheet. So that kind of wipes out any temptation to put Wood or Nico Williams as the first sub. So if Pedro doesn't feature, Elliot Anderson comes on, and I mean, I think we can just welcome a 2-pointer there, can't we? But apart from that, I'm fairly set on the side going into game week 4. There shouldn't be any drastic changes, so to speak. Cunha will not be there. As I said, Ismail Assar is the number 1 transfer target in for me. Has 2 juicy fixtures coming up, and Palace are looking very good. Very, very good. Could even go rogue and go with a cheeky captaincy on Daniel Munoz, although I'm not a big fan of captaining defenders. I just think there's more upside with midfielders and attackers, and even in the past when I've, for instance, captained Arsenal defenders, they end up winning 4-1, 5-1, and conceding a late goal. I'm fairly content with how the team is. As I said, we wildcarded into a 54. We are currently at 4.3 million rank, so hopefully with how we've set up the wildcard going forward, we don't need to, I guess, be too aggressive, make early transfers and book in those hits and just keep progressing on. It's been a very interesting start to the season. As you can see, I do not have Salah. Took him on this week with the wild card, brought in Haaland instead at that price point, I guess you could say, and that's worked out. Although that might not work out long term this week and next week, so to speak. But I think post game week 6, you're going to be wanting Erling Haaland, and I decided to go a little bit earlier to try and set up a team that I guess could get ahead of the pack. We did have a rank rise. We were at, it was 5.7 million, so a 1.4 million rank rise. In saying that, it's quite easier to get a rank rise from where we were. So that's the game week 3 review and the game week 4 preview. Obviously, a lot can happen over the international break. To reiterate, it will be a captaincy out of Gakpo or Haaland. Cunha will not feature, and hopefully, if everything goes right, Ismail Assar of Crystal Palace will be playing in our midfield against Sunderland at home. So we'll be doubling up on Palace players. But once again, if you've made it this far, thank you so much for tuning in. As I said, we're very close to 100 subs on the new channel. So make sure if you like the content or it's a pity sub, does not bother me. Make sure you sub, give the video a like, don't forget to comment. And hopefully, all our players that we have so far don't pick up some knocks, some niggles over the international break. And we're good to go for game week 4. So thank you once again and enjoy. If you've enjoyed this video, then please like and subscribe. And don't forget to check out the website at supercoachswordplay.com.